The significance of communication inside of a relationship. That's the conversation we're going to have here today on Relationship Thursday. Hi guys, doing this is Ron Simplified Myers, author, podcaster, and your uplifting life partner. Now, this conversation actually came into being because I actually went to a funeral service today, which is kind of why this particular segment is getting out a little later than normal. But what it made me think about is, you know how at services is when you see most people very emotional. They're having a lot of flashbacks, things they're thinking about, regrets, things they didn't get to say to people. Um, the mending of the relationships that maybe they should have, and it makes you kind of think of the relationships that you do have that maybe you need to mend or correct, so that this is not the place at a funeral service where the reality hits and checks in. I've had people that I've been around who are mad at people, and the person don't even know you're mad at them or don't know why you're mad at them. Folks, that's not good. That's back to what we're talking about. Because if the person is significant in your life and plays a role in your life, if something should happen to them while you're going through your ego, your pride, then you get to be one of those people that show up at the funeral service with all the regret. What amazes me is to hear people say that they're in the same house with someone and we haven't spoken in a week. Wow, that is amazing to me. How can you be in the same house with someone for a week, for a day, for hours, and not speak? Just amazing to me. That's too much work. That's too much effort. That's too much child play. Yes, I said child play. Because maturity has to do with understanding what is, and let's address the issues and let's move on. Children are the ones who walk around with their mouth stuck out, pouting, and trying to prove a point. Folks, relationships are not about trying to prove a point. Relationships are about making them work. It's one of the things that I talk about using sports again as an analogy. Is we can't win when we have people on the team that get caught up in their own ego, their own pride, and they stop doing what's best for the team because the only person they're thinking about is themselves. You got to learn how to get past yourself. Life is a lot bigger than just you. Now, I always talk about self love and taking care of you. This is a part of that. Some of you don't realize that, but your ego and pride and trying to prove a point to someone else will ultimately hurt yourself. I mean, the way you feel about you. Again, if something should happen. Now, what this actually made me think about is what makes you different than total strangers? What makes you different than anyone that doesn't care? If you can walk around the house and not speak to me and act as if I don't exist, what makes our relationship any different than someone I didn't know at all? Someone I don't have a relationship at all? I want you guys to think about that. So when you go through again, like I said, with the ego and the pride, recognize that the reason that person is in your life and participate in your life is because they play a different role than someone you don't know or someone you don't have a relationship with, and learn how to treat it that way. Ego and pride are the biggest things that get people in trouble in their relationships, and I mean all your relationships, your partnership, family. When you let those things get in the way, as we've all heard before, just before the fall, pride kicks in, right? That pride will tear you down, and something that will cause you to regret decisions that you've made in your life. So the reason for this conversation is just that. If you have any of those kind of relationships, some things that are going on, before you let your ego and pride get in the way, you guys have heard me tell the story where I talk about what I call the nightmare, which is the realization that made me become a committed man to my wife. Not to my wife, I shouldn't say it that way. She was my girlfriend at the time, but I was spending my life trying to be the man because that's what I had been taught. The more girlfriends you have, the better. And I had the nightmare that I caught her cheating, and I woke up, my heart was beating fast. You guys have heard the story. And I realized I loved her. I called her and told her I love you, and I was a total committed man. But it took that particular story to kick in. And so for some of you, I want you to maybe go through, because I've shared this too. I read in a book, it says everything will die or break depending on what it is. So do it in advance. And the reason for that is so that you can appreciate what's in your place right now. Kind of what this whole conversation is about. Don't wait until the realization to someone is being put to rest, or they're far away for whatever reason and you guys can't communicate. That then you decide to have the story in the conversation on, I should have let my ego go. I should have let my pride go. I should have addressed the issue. I should have talked to them. I think for me, there would be nothing more damaging than to have a relationship where you did let your ego and pride get in the way, and then something happened and you never ever got the chance to correct that. All in the name of your ego and your pride. So folks, I think you guys pretty much got it. Don't let ego and pride get in the way. Practice, and that's what I was getting to when I was using that illustration, having the visualization of that person who you're choosing to ignore, that you're choosing to cut out of your life. What will your life be without them? And hopefully that will wake you up to maybe make that call, or to go into the other room and apologize. Or, folks, this is not about being right. You guys heard me say that before. Love is not being right, it's doing what's right. Sometimes you got to look at it, and even if you believe you're right, for the sake of the relationship, the sake of your mind, so you don't have insanity. Sometimes you have to, you know what I'm saying, separate from that trying to be right, or even if I know I'm right, and just go and get things mended. Make sure you do that in advance. Have the visualization, like I told you in where I said the dream that I had. Recognize that quickly. Go get it resolved. Get it resolved. And that's why I said I would use, I don't know if I clarified that, but it's a story what I'm talking about. Is visualize that person not being here. You can't correct that. And then let that realization move you to make the correct actions. And if it's okay with you, if something happens to them that it doesn't bother you, then guess what? You guys never had a good relationship to begin with. And I know for some of you that's a humbling thought process, to think you're telling yourself, no, they mean the world to me. Folks, if you can visualize something happening to them and it doesn't faze you, then obviously their relationship to you isn't really that important. And if it is, and you're letting your ego and pride, you got some deeper issues that you need to deal with. Okay, as you guys know, it ain't right, it ain't wrong. It is my opinion. Now, if you haven't had the opportunity, run on over to my app, free app, which is now on Google Play, in Apple Store, Simplified You. Simplified with the D and the letter U separated. Simplified You. Again, you can get it in the Apple Store, Google Play. Come on over there, check out everything that I got going on. At the present moment, I have a sale on all merchandise as a celebration for this new app. And that'll go into the 29th of this month. But anyway, as you guys know, if you're not having fun, you should be doing something else. Take the time. Let your pride and ego get out of the way. Get these relationships resolved and get back to enjoying what's really, really important. And that's enjoying every single moment. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.